Hello and welcome to the Chorley High School for Boys safe opening video for September 2020. And can I start off by saying how delighted I am that we have finally got to the point where school can reopen fully for all students, and how much we're looking forward to welcoming your son to Chorley High School for Boys. So please watch this video carefully with your son and discuss it with him. You will find most of the information in this video also in the Parents' Handbook, which has been shared with you and which is also available on the school website. Now, in this video, I will be summarising the key control measures that we have put in place in order to be able to open safely and securely for all students. For these control measures to be effective, it's really important that your son understands them fully and that he understands the need to follow them sensibly and cooperatively and maturely at all times. Many of the normal arrangements that we have been used to in school will be quite different, and we all need to adapt to these new arrangements quickly and sensibly. Students will, for example, be in different form groups, and they will not be able to play in the same spaces outdoors, and they will need to enter the school when they arrive by a different door. The basic principles of our control measures are as follows. Your son must not attend school if he or anyone in your household displays one or more of the symptoms of COVID-19. Students from different year groups must not mix with each other. Staff and students must avoid physical contact between each other and must maintain strict social distancing. Staff and students must follow strict hygiene routines by cleaning their hands regularly and cleaning surfaces such as desks and tables. And students must be mature and grown up in their attitudes to these rules. They must be safety conscious, cooperative, and to be able to work independently. More than ever now, we expect all our students to live to the principles of our 5-star Chorley student framework. Two key parts of the framework are being an excellent Chorley citizen and a Chorley leader. It's essential for your son and all students to understand that they are responsible for implementing these control measures just as much as the adults in school are. And we know that we can rely on the maturity and the good sense of our students to follow these new safety rules at all times. This is, of course, really important for the safety and security of everyone in school and also in the wider community. So let's look at the arrangements that we have put in place in more detail. The most important of all our control measures is to make sure that your son does not attend school if he or anyone in your household displays one or more symptoms of COVID-19. Remember, the main symptoms of coronavirus are a high temperature, a new continuous cough, and or a loss or change to a person's sense of smell or taste. Most people with coronavirus have at least one of these symptoms. If anyone in your household experiences one or more of these, everyone in the household, including school-aged children, must stay at home and not come to school. In other words, self-isolate, get a test, and inform the school. There are a few changes to the equipment your son requires for school. As well as the usual equipment he brings, please also make sure that he comes every day with a pack of tissues in his school bag. He should carry his pack of tissues in case he needs to blow his nose, sneeze, or cough. In this instance, he should follow the catch it, bin it, kill it advice by using his tissue and asking the permission of his teacher to throw the used tissue into the classroom bin, and then sanitize his hands. Please also ensure that your son always has a reading book in his bag as part of his essential equipment. Please discuss with your son the importance of bringing only essential school equipment needed for the day. In particular, please ensure that he does not come to school with snacks or drinks other than a healthy packed lunch and water. Remember, that another one of our main control measures that has been advised by Public Health England and the Department for Education is to keep boys in different year groups separate from each other. Now, to make this possible, we have had to reorganise our form groups, and so if your son was in school last year, in other words, if he is coming into year 8, year 9, year 10 or year 11, he will have a new form tutor in a new classroom and with a different group of students, all of whom will be from the same year group. You should have received a letter informing you of your son's new form group, his form teacher and his form room. Please read this letter with him before he returns, as he will be expected to report to the correct form room straight away on arrival. Please contact your son's head of house or school reception if you have not received this letter before the start of term. If your son is in one of years 8 to 11, he will still be a member of the same house, and his form will be made up of boys from that house. His head of house, therefore, remains the same. And the heads of house, remember, are Mr. Ali for Ackerman, Mr. Shaffi for Ermin, Mr. Cook for Foss, and Mr. Lowerson for Watling. As well as the heads of house, Mrs. Owen will support the induction and welfare of students in year 7, and Mr. Bellwood will support the learning and progress of the students in year 11. Another big change is that boys from different year groups will start the new term at different times. This is so that school staff have enough time to explain all our new arrangements to different groups of boys as they arrive. So if your son is joining the school for the first time in year 7, his first day will be Thursday the 3rd of September, but his start time will depend on which form he is in. No other year groups should come to school on that day. If your son is in form 7A1 or 7A2, he will start at 9 a.m. and will be dismissed to go home at 1:30 p.m. If he's in form 7E1 or 7E2, he will start at 9:30 a.m. and will be dismissed to go home at 2 p.m. If your son is in forms 7F1 or 7F2, he will start at 10 a.m. and will be dismissed to go home at 2:30 p.m. And if your son is in form 7W1 or 7W2, he will start at 10:30 a.m. and will be dismissed to go home at 3 p.m. Now, you should have received a letter telling you which form your son is in, but if you are still not sure, please phone the school and a member of staff will be able to tell you. On Friday the 4th of September, all Year 7 students, but only Year 7 students, should come to school from 8:40 a.m. and they will be dismissed to go home at 3 p.m. This will be their start and finish time every day from Friday the 4th of September onwards. On the following Monday, Monday the 7th of September, students in Year 8, in other words those who were in Year 7 last year, should come to school from 9:40 a.m, ready for a 10 a.m. start. Year 7 should arrive as normal at 8:40 a.m. Also on Monday the 7th of September, students in Year 9, in other words those who were in Year 8 last year, should come to school from 11:40 a.m, ready for a 12 o'clock start. The first day back for students in Year 10, in other words last year's Year 9 and Year 11, that's last year's Year 10, will be Tuesday the 8th of September. If your son is in the new Year 10, he should come to school at 9:40 a.m, ready for a 10 a.m. start. And if he is in the new Year 11, he should come at 1:20 in the afternoon, ready for a 1:40 p.m. start. Please make sure that he has some lunch before he comes to school on this day. All other year groups, that's Year 7, 8 and 9, should come to school at the normal time of 8:40 a.m. Please do make sure that your son does not arrive at school earlier than these times, as he will not be able to enter the school early. From Wednesday the 9th of September, all students should aim to arrive at school at 8:40 a.m. But please do talk to your son about the importance of the following. On the way to and from school, he should maintain a 1 metre plus distance from other students or members of the public. Please remember that you, as parents or carers, are responsible for the safety and the behaviour of your children on their way to and from school. So please ensure that your son understands the importance of safe behaviour, hygiene and social distancing during his journey to and from school. If possible, your son should walk or cycle to school. If at all possible, please do not bring him or send him to school by car, because the increased congestion on Stonygate Road will make social distancing much more difficult. Also, if at all possible, please do not send your son to school in a communal minibus or van, as this may increase the risk of spreading infection. If your son has to use public transport, please ensure that he follows the Public Health England and bus company guidelines, including the wearing of a face mask. Remember, after their first day, all students should arrive at school at 8:40 a.m, ready for registration at 8:50 a.m. The school building will not be open for students until 8:40 a.m, so it is important that your son does not arrive too early. Remember also that students from different year groups should not mix. This means that each year group will need to enter the school at a different entrance. There is a plan of the school showing the entrances as part of their handbook, but I will also show you the different entrances now. If your son is in year 7, he should come to school via the normal student entrance down the Jacob steps. If your son is in year 8, he should walk to the playing field end of Stonygate Road and come in via this pedestrian gate. Then follow the path to enter school through this door into our corridor just below the canteen. If your son is in year 9, he should walk down this path that runs between Stonygate Road and Addington Way. We call it the Cinder Path, and walk all the way beyond the new C block to enter the playground via this side gate. He should then walk across the playground and enter Y corridor through this door between the LIC and the Maths department. If your son is in year 10, he should walk along Stonygate Road to the pedestrian gate that is opposite main reception, just next to the small car park. He should then follow the path to the main hall, enter the main hall via the side fire door, and walk across the hall to enter the school into O corridor. And if your son is in year 11, he should walk down the Cinder Path to the first side gate, just at the start of C block. He should then enter this gate, follow the path into the C block quad, and then enter S corridor using this top door to the side of the library. If your son is wearing a face mask on arrival, he will be required to remove it before entering the school building. There will be a hand sanitising station at each entrance, and your son will be asked to sanitise his hands on arrival. Please remind him of the correct way of doing this. So rub it all over his hands like this, thumbs between the fingers, the finger ends and the wrists. When your son enters the school building at 8:40 a.m, he will be directed straight to his form room, following a one-way system. In his form room, he'll be able to read, catch up with homework, or chat with other members of his form while waiting for morning registration. It will not be possible for him to wait in corridors to socialise with friends, as this will compromise the control measures that we're required to put in place. Now, following the current advice from the Department for Education, students and staff will not be permitted to wear face masks in school. The reason for this is that the wearing of face masks by staff and or students would make good teaching, which is fundamentally built on good communication and strong relationships, much more difficult. Additionally, there are extensive control measures and safety measures as outlined in the rest of this video and the handbook in place to compensate for the wearing of face masks. Now, you may wish your son to wear a face mask on his way to and from school. If he is using public transport, he must wear one. If you do, this will be fine, and he will be asked to remove it when he enters the school building. If the mask is disposable, there'll be a bin available for safe disposal, and if it is reusable, he'll be asked to keep it in his school bag. Another one of the most important control measures that we have put in place to keep everyone safe in September is a one-way system around school. This is different from the one-way system we have always used in the past, because it's now extended to all corridors and it must be followed at all times of the day by students and staff. The one-way system will ensure that because students will all be going in the same direction, they will not be facing each other, which is one of the main requirements for the transmission of infection. It will also be important for all the students to walk through the corridors briskly, calmly, and not in groups, because they should avoid physical contact with each other. Other measures, such as tightly managed dismissal from lessons and a staggered start and end to break, will also be used to ensure that the corridors do not become overcrowded. We will also support students to understand these measures through induction and modelling when they first return to school. But please do prepare your son for this so that he knows what to expect. Please see the plan of the school in the handbook that we sent to you to see how the one-way system will operate. Now, the one-way system and the calm, sensible movement of students in the same direction under the guidance of staff is one of the most important of our control measures to minimise any risk of transmitting infection. So please discuss this with your son so that he understands that it is very important for him to follow all the signs and the staff instructions all the time. The school toilets will be cleaned after use as part of our enhanced hygiene routines. Now, because of this, it will not be possible to allow students to use the toilets during lesson times unless we have been informed of a specific medical condition that may require this. So please explain to your son that teachers will not allow him to leave lessons to visit the toilets, so it will be important for him to do so at break times. If your son has a diagnosed condition that means he must have regular access to the toilets, please do tell his head of house or the school medical attendant so that we can know to issue him with a special pass. In order to minimise contact between students from different year groups, each year group will have a separate outdoor area at break time and at lunchtime. The lunchtime areas will be different for some year groups from the break time areas. So year 7, for example, will be able to use the top half of the playing field, the end closest to Stonygate Road, for both break time and lunchtime. Year 8 will be able to use the lower half of the playing field at break time and the old tennis courts at lunchtime with the adjoining grassed area. Year 9 will be able to use the old tennis courts with the adjoining grassed area at both break time and also at lunchtime, because their lunch is at a different time to the Year 8s, of course. Year 10 will be able to use the middle playground at both break time and at lunchtime, and also the lower playground at lunchtime, because their lunch is at a different time from Year 11. And Year 11s will be able to use the lower playground adjacent to the cinder track and the C block quad at break time, and the middle and lower playgrounds at lunchtime. Please, once again, help your son to understand that these measures are very important for everyone's safety, so he must follow them sensibly. It will also be important to make sure that students from different year groups do not mix in the canteens, and for this reason we have made the following arrangements. Now, unfortunately, the canteen will not be open for students in the morning or at break time or at the end of the day. If you wish your son to have food or drink at break time, he will need to bring it with him. Please make sure that any drinks and snacks brought to school follow our healthy eating policy. No sweets or high salt snacks and no drinks containing sugar. Water is by far the best. Lunchtimes have been arranged so that no two year groups are in the canteens at the same time. Students having a school lunch will be directed to the canteen, where they will be provided with a bag containing their lunch. They will then be asked to go outside to their designated outdoor area to eat it. I'm afraid that there will be no hot food available to students during the first few weeks of school. The food available will be in the form of a grab bag and will contain a sandwich, a baguette or wrap, a tray baked cake, fruit and a small bottle of water. This will be priced at £3.10 or free if your son is eligible for free school meals. The menu can be found in the handbook we sent you and also on the school website. This arrangement will be reviewed with our catering contractors, and hot food will be made available again as soon as our new routines are established and it can be done so safely. Students who bring packed lunches to school will be asked to eat them in their designated outdoor areas. The tables and chairs in the canteens will not be available for use, as it will not be possible to clean them all between servings. If the weather is wet or very cold, students will be directed to a large indoor space such as the main hall or a sports hall to eat their lunch. These spaces will be reserved for single year groups. At the end of the school day, students will be dismissed from school at slightly different times, according to their year group. Once again, this is to keep the year groups apart from each other and also to make sure that the corridors do not become too crowded. Year 7 every day will be dismissed from school at 3 p.m. Year 8 will be dismissed from school at 5 minutes past 3. Year 9 will be dismissed at 3:10. Year 10 will be dismissed from school at 3:15. And Year 11 will be dismissed after their exam preparation interventions, which will normally be around 4 p.m. Please talk with your son about the importance of going straight home sensibly and calmly, avoiding any close contact with other students. In particular, once dismissed from his classroom, he must not wait in the corridor for friends, but go straight, following the one-way system, to the same door he uses to come into school in the morning. In order to minimise the risk of the transmission of infection, it will be important to wipe down tables, door handles, and any equipment that's used at the end of each lesson. This is because the classroom may be used by a class from a different year group in the next lesson. Your son may be asked to help with this task. Please talk to him about this and explain to him that if he is asked to help, he should do so cooperatively and sensibly. Each classroom will also be provided with a hand sanitizer, and all students will be asked to sanitize their hands at the start of each lesson. As you know from all the national publicity, an important part of COVID security is to avoid large gatherings of people. Because of this, we will not be holding school assemblies as we used to. Instead, assemblies will be live streamed into classrooms at appropriate times. We will also live stream into classrooms daily information for students, reminding them about all the new arrangements. Now, we ask that those students of whichever faith who wish to pray every day do so at home, as we will not be able to supervise prayers every day until further notice. We will, however, make arrangements for those students who wish to join Muslim congregational prayers on a Friday to do so with supervision and within their year group. If your son wishes to join Muslim Friday prayers, he should bring his own prayer mat and, if possible, he should carry out ablutions, wudu, at home. If your son belongs to another faith group and he wishes to be supported to pray, please contact his head of house in the first instance. Now, despite all the restrictions that we're having to work with, we still aim to make sure that your son continues to have access to the full national curriculum, and he will continue to have PE lessons in his normal Chorney PE kit. The lessons will strictly follow the Department for Education and Association for Physical Education's guidance to make sure that they are COVID secure. This advice covers hand equipment, changing room hygiene, social distancing and no contact sports. So the PE department has compliance measures in place for these things, including separate entry and exit points to changing rooms, changing facilities which allow for social distancing, sanitisation of all equipment and changing areas prior to lessons, and an adapted curriculum, which is broad and yet ensures that there is no physical contact. This will include athletics, badminton, fitness, hockey, table tennis and football drills. Now, we understand that most students have been away from school for a considerable length of time, and so we have developed a curriculum for your son's return which is designed to help him rebuild strong relationships with the staff and with other students, and to rediscover the most effective ways of learning and making progress at school. We need, and you need, his brain to be ready to learn. This will mean following a curriculum which relaxes him, which dispels his anxieties and worries, and gets him actively engaged in learning. Many parents may feel anxious that their children need to catch up on missed lessons, and you may be expecting lots of extra work for your son in order to do this. But please, do not feel anxious about this. There is plenty of time for most students to cover subject content. The far more important thing is to ensure that students develop the learning skills and habits that they need for success, rather than content at this stage. Remember, stressed brains can't learn, so don't worry if your son comes home and says that he was engaged in games or activities that don't seem related to the curriculum content in the first few weeks of school. These activities will be designed to help him become de-stressed and to become an effective learner. Remember also that extra time and extra content is of limited value to most learners, except perhaps in the final run-up towards exams. The most important catch-up strategy is to ensure students are not stressed or worried, that they are calm and that their brains are receptive to learning. Give them lots of encouragement and lots of praise and lots of positive feedback. One of the most effective things that you can do with your son to help him catch up is to encourage him to read for pleasure every day. This will really help him develop the language and the skills that he needs to become an effective learner. We also understand, though, that students in Year 11 who are quite close to their public exams now will find it helpful to have the opportunity for supervised intervention to help them prepare, as they may find it difficult to do this away from school. So for this reason, all Year 11 students will be expected to attend intervention sessions every day from 3:15 p.m. until 4 p.m. I know that for various reasons, some parents need to visit the school from time to time. You'll understand that this does need to be done safely, so please do not come to the school unless you have made an appointment or a member of staff has asked to meet with you at a specific time. For general inquiries and queries, please telephone the school or email the appropriate member of staff. Especially, please do not attend the school site if you or any member of your household is displaying one or more COVID-related symptoms, in which case, of course, your son should not come to school, as explained earlier. If you find that you need to attend school unexpectedly, for example to collect your son for an urgently arranged appointment, please telephone first so that the reception staff can expect you. And if you are attending school by appointment, please follow the hygiene measures that will be explained to you by the reception staff. So I have outlined for you in this video the main changes that we have put in place to keep your son and the rest of your family as secure from the transmission of infection as possible. All our planning follows the guidance given to schools by the Department for Education and Public Health England, and our plans have been checked, scrutinised and approved by the Chiltern Learning Trust. There are many other things we will be doing to keep everyone secure from infection. For example, we will provide regular reminders and briefings for all students and staff about the COVID secure behaviour and routines. The governors and I will take a strong line in our dealings with any students who deliberately behave in ways which undermine these arrangements and endanger the safety of others. This may include formal exclusion from school for a fixed term, or requiring students to work remotely at home or at alternative provision. The supervision of the school by adults will be increased to support all students to follow the rules. We have put in place an enhanced cleaning regime through our cleaning contractors and also using our own site staff. We have put very clear signs around this building to direct students through the one-way system and to remind them of the importance of social distancing and hygiene. We have provided hand sanitisers and cleaning equipment for all classrooms and all entrances to the school. Only essential visitors who will be required to follow our hygiene and social distancing measures will be allowed in school. And we are providing extensive staff training to ensure that everybody understands these new arrangements. I hope that this video and the handbook that we have sent to you have been reassuring and clear, but please do not hesitate to contact us by phone or by email if you have any queries. Thank you for listening.